Have I mentioned it's getting real out here, folks? That's right, economies are in freefall due to the fallout of the coronavirus. The mysterious superflu that originated in China is causing massive economic uncertainty and flat out collapse in economies around the world. Not to mention the enormous costs in life and health of thousands of people around the globe. One wonders perhaps, just perhaps, the measures taken to combat the deadly disease is akin to using a chainsaw to cut butter. Not only is the cost of doing so enormous, as opposed to just gently heating up your butter and leaving it out, or using a butter knife, but you're effectively going to ruin the butter by getting all the chainsaw grease all over it and spraying your butter all over the place. Heck, you might even damage the chainsaw by getting butter all into its guts and thus jamming it up. Now, I'm not a chainsaw or butter expert. Please consult your local experts in each for proper utilization of both. Heaven knows they could use the work. And be sure to consult with your local politician as well for permission to leave your house and move about freely as if you were a free and independent citizen of your own country before scheduling any one-on-one sessions with local chainsaw or butter experts. Who knows if in-person consultations have also been banned where you live? Probably. Which brings us to the point of this video. You're going to need a stimulus check and fast.
But Derek, how do I get my stimulus check fast?
And what other programs are available for a person like me to take advantage of in times like these?
Well, dummy, watch this video for more information on exactly that topic. What's up, you guys? You're watching BTP Fusion, where it's our mission to inspire you to take imperfect action on your finance and business through the power of technology. Begin taking action by pounding that like button and dropping us a comment if you like what we have to say. And especially if you don't like what we have to say. We're not perfect here. And we appreciate the input from our viewers to help us improve and deliver the content that is needed in today's corona crisis-influenced world. So you're in a bad way due to the self-imposed economic calamity that has befallen all of us. You're probably under a sort of house arrest and are unable to go anywhere and do the things that you used to do to bring you fulfillment and joy. Like your job. Well, let's be honest. You probably hated your job anyway and were looking for ways to make enough money from a side gig or something like that to tell your boss to take a hike. Well, you at least liked the money that came with it, right? Well, that might be a stretch too. Maybe the money you were making was terrible and you're looking for ways to make even more. Well, you definitely didn't want to be in a place where you were making no money, right? Unfortunately, that's where a lot of people find themselves nowadays. Since a lot of businesses have closed down, quote unquote, temporarily, since a lot of businesses have closed down, quote unquote, temporarily, due to this corona crisis, people are out of work and stuck at home, unable to make ends meet. Enter the government. The entity that essentially caused the problem by forcing people to stay inside the whole time. It has come up with a solution: stimulus checks and other programs. Well, no one says that the government isn't Johnny on the spot with the handouts. Maybe instead of just quarantining those who are most likely to suffer ill effects from this virus and letting everyone else go about their business, they decided to instead quarantine everybody for about 2 months. And in the meantime, give everybody a check. Hey, what do I know? It is what it is, and this is the situation that we find ourselves in. You might as well take advantage of the situation as it is. So first things first, you need to figure out if you're even eligible for this round of stimulus. I did a whole video on that earlier. Look for it somewhere above in the description or down below. But for a quick recap, there are essentially 3 types of people who are not eligible for any kind of stimulus. People that are really well off. If you make $100,000 a year as a single tax filer, or $198,000 as a double tax filer, i.e. someone who's filing with a spouse, you are ineligible for any bailout bread. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. If you indeed find yourself in that situation, then you probably should have a decent emergency fund stashed away somewhere. And if not, then you need to watch YouTube channels that give you the real skinny on how to gain real wealth. Kind of like this one. Like and subscribe. But seriously, in addition to liking this video and subscribing to this channel, when the economy goes on an upswing again, really focus on saving up an emergency fund so you don't find yourself in a situation where you care about getting bailout money. That's not just advice for the super wealthy either. With a little discipline, that can be you too. But the other type of person unable to get bailout money are people that are claimed as dependents. Basically, if you're a dependent and you're over 16, you will not be getting any bailout cash whatsoever. This includes the disabled and senior citizens that are claimed as dependents. I hate to break it to you like this, but that's kind of the way it is. The parents, however, of dependents will be getting a $500 per child or dependent check. They'll also be getting that check per dependent for adults over 16 who are disabled or senior citizens. If the dependent that you claim is over 16 and is just living at home, you'll not be getting the $500 stipend. Sorry. Again. The third type of person who will not be getting a stimulus check, somebody without a social security number. This one should be sort of self-evident. I'm not sure why they had to actually stipulate it. But if you do not have a social security number, then you are probably not going to get any bailout funds. Unless the reason you do not have a social security number is that you or your parents didn't file for a social security number in a timely manner. I'm assuming, but haven't confirmed, that if you are indeed eligible to have a social security number, then you can in fact get one and get a sweet stimulus check. If you're not any of the above people and you have your bank account information on file with the IRS, the bad news is you might be a target for identity theft. Sorry about that. But the good news is that you should be among the few that get their stimulus checks in a quick and timely manner. All other people are not going to get a stimulus check or are in a long waiting queue stuffed with lots of red tape to get theirs. Now, what other programs are you eligible to take advantage of if you've been affected by this unfortunate economic circumstance? Well, good old unemployment insurance. The original bailout plan is unemployment insurance. First instituted in the Great Depression, unemployment insurance was designed as a bridge to help folks affected by layoffs and other unfortunate circumstances to get a little help as they look for their next gig. That's going to be a ton of people thanks to the corona crisis. That means $600 per week for everyone, including the self-employed, 1099 earners, independent contractors, and otherwise self-employed folks. Think LLC owners, S corporation owners, Uber or Lyft drivers, Amazon Flex guys, realtors, agents, freelancers of all kinds, including waitresses, writers, dancers, restaurants, handy people, construction workers, etc. So the good news is that the state unemployment benefits have been extended to 39 weeks, so long as you've been affected by this crisis. Not sure how they're going to be checking that, but do assume that they will. And don't be a moron and be as truthful as possible. Now, that isn't the end to the free money bonanza. The approved stimulus bill would allow a $10,000 grant for self-employed people with or without employees as relatively completely free money. My understanding is that it is a grant, so there is no expectation that it is to be paid back. Again, you must self-certify that your income has been affected. So do not, and I mean do not even think about lying on any of these forms. If you get audited, that is probably a pretty big possibility. If there are any noticeable discrepancies in your application, you could get in an enormous amount of trouble. That said, there's also a $10 million loan available for small businesses with fewer than 500 employees to cover payroll and cost of keeping a business up and running, including wages, salaries, tips, equipment costs, and more. You can apply through a local credit union or bank, and of course, the Small Business Administration. Now, this money isn't free. It is a loan, and there are terms that must be met if you can't meet the payments for some reason. Now again, be honest. Trying to cheat here is not the prudent thing to do. What to do if you're having issues paying your mortgage or your rent. Through these trying times, there are options that you have to request mortgage payment forbearance. Though this isn't necessarily through the bailout per se, it is an option. Keep in mind, if you just stop paying your mortgage, your credit is going to be screwed. So don't just stop paying your mortgage. Instead, contact your loan servicer, either via the phone or online, depending on said servicer. Now, if you're in a standard residence that is, let's say, a 1 to 4 unit residential property, you can apply for up to 90 days forbearance on your mortgage payments and reapply for up to 90 additional days. If you own 5 units plus, then you can apply for a 30-day forbearance, and if you need another one, then you'll need to reapply for another 30 days. They're a little bit more stringent on those types of rental properties, so hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation. Now, just keep in mind, this only really works if you have a federally rated mortgage. Now, what is that? What that is a topic for a whole other video, so be sure to subscribe to this channel as that'll be coming out very soon. But just keep in mind that most people that borrow money for residential property have federally rated mortgages. So you should be in the clear. Just double check with your CPA or real estate professional to make sure that that is the case. Also make sure that you get in writing that your credit shall not be affected and that you're still being reported as a current borrower. You know, as long as you were current when you requested forbearance. That's why I said don't just stop paying your mortgage. You also want to make sure that you get in writing what your repayment terms are. You don't want to end up in a scenario where they're going to ask you to pay back the full sum that you're being forbeared on at the end of your forbearance period. In other words, they could ask you to pay the whole 90 days of forbearance, that is 3 months worth of payments that you did not pay, in one lump sum, i.e. 1 month, plus your regular mortgage payment. That is a lousy deal, but it is better than being foreclosed on. The next best scenario is that your loan servicer could ask you to pay in installments a certain amount over the next couple of months after your forbearance is over, which honestly isn't a terrible deal. The best case scenario is basically taking those payments over those 90 days and just appending them to the end of the loan, which is pretty much the best deal for you. Now, it's not the best deal for the bank. They're probably going to want to try to go with one of the other options. Remember, they have a position that is in their best interest. You have a position that is in yours. Be knowledgeable and be ready to negotiate a good term for yourself. Just be aware and knowledgeable that there are stipulations that help you to stay in your home if you are having a tough time making ends meet due to this corona crisis. What if you're a renter? If you're a tenant and you know that you're not going to be able to pay your rent due to this whole coronavirus thing, let your landlord know. Keep in mind the order of operations of important communications, i.e. in person, via the phone, email, text, social media postings, etc. What do I mean by that? Don't just post something on your Twitter feed and hope that your landlord sees it and lets you off the hook. Walk up to your landlord and talk to him face-to-face if possible, assuming face-to-face meetings aren't yet banned in your area. And let him or her know that you may not be able to make a payment this month or next month or something like that if this thing keeps up. If you're forthcoming and honest with him about your situation, he might be in a position to negotiate with you on that said payment. Keep in mind we're in uncharted territory here, and likely the landlord will be applying for federal loans or things of that nature already talked about above. So they'll be in a position where they'll be willing to negotiate. Again, be proactive. Try and get some kind of payment installment plan where you owe just a little bit more per month until you move out. Perhaps your landlord will ask you to stay maybe 6 months, 9 months longer to help defray the costs on his side. Just remember, be ready to negotiate, and the sooner the better. So this stimulus bill has affected economies in various ways. Believe it or not, your 401k has also been affected. Through the stimulus bill, access to 401k funds just became a little bit more attractive. That said, most people's 401ks are probably in the toilet at this point, so it might be a little bit of a moot point. But just in case your 401k isn't completely worthless, you can withdraw up to $100,000. You can withdraw up to $100,000 penalty-free from your 401k, assuming you pay it back in full within 3 years. You'd still be responsible for paying taxes on that money, though, again over those 3 years. But that said, that's absolutely huge. If you've been eyeing a rental property right now, for example, now might be the time to take advantage. Obviously, the reason why you shouldn't pull any money out of your 401k right now still apply. Namely, you really start to experience the benefits of true wealth as your 401k grows. And if you pull a ton of cash out now, then you're missing out on the effects of compound interest. Also, keep in mind, you could be cashing out at the absolute worst time, when stock prices are in the toilet. So unless you think you have a better investment than what your funds are currently placed in right now, and you're reasonably sure you can repay the amount within 3 years, I would avoid pulling any money out whatsoever. Still though, this could be a little bit of a game changer, and it might be something you may want to check into if you're reasonably sure that you have a good investment. Do not spend that money on a Lambo. And definitely confirm with your CPA to make sure you don't incur any extra penalties. And then there are, of course, qualified investment purchases, or QIPs, which are essentially write-offs for the rich, making up for the fact that you can't get any bailout funds if you earn more than $75K per year. So keep in mind with all these things, please see a certified financial planner, or CPA, to make sure you're eligible for any or all of these programs. I am neither a CPA nor a certified financial planner. I'm just a guy on YouTube that has been successful by his own moxie and willingness to take calculated risks. Calculated risks you should take include subscribing to this YouTube channel for more great content on all things business, technology, and personal finance. Another calculated risk, leaving us a comment if you're planning on taking advantage of any of these programs mentioned above. And if you like this video, then like this video and hit the notification bell because we have more videos on this topic coming regularly. You know we drop great videos every week, right? And remember, a goal without a plan is a wish. A goal with a plan and no action is a wish list. Take action on your business and personal finances using the power of technology, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.